Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nazar Ahmad Amjad and I am a software engineering undergraduate from Sri Lanka. And the motive of me starting this channel would be that I want to share all knowledge which I learned through my curriculum. I really want to put forward anything which I learn in front of the camera. Yeah, without any further delay, let's go into today's topic. During the beginning of my internship, I actually came across a big issue. What I usually do is whenever I get a specification or a bug report, I straight away take that information, I read it and I take that information and I directly go dive into the code, where I always have ended up with not being able to solve the problem. So what I actually did after that was trying to realize how exactly should I solve a problem. Somehow, with the help of my mentor, thanks to them, I was able to find 3 steps to make an approach towards a software engineering problem, which actually helped me solve issues better. Because usually when I did the coding in my internship, I used to go force myself into a solution just after reading the specification, and I end up not doing a proper solution or not finding something compatible with the system, or else ending up just backspacing the code and erasing all my efforts. So I'll discuss the 3 steps of how a software engineering problem should be addressed. So the first of the steps would be analyze, then process, and then present. So the most important step is analyze. This is actually the one which takes the longest time. So once your analyze step is done properly, definitely the other 2 steps also gets easier. So under analyze, what we have to do is we have to read the specification or the bug report which has come to us properly and try to figure out whether you have understood the bug report properly, or whether you have understood the specification properly. During the beginning, I actually had problems in understanding the specification because of not having the exact domain knowledge. So I had to speak with people who actually know the domain very well. Any seniors at the project? Yeah, that's the person you have to speak to. So I did speak to them and I gained the knowledge. So with time, you become better at understanding scenarios mentioned in the specification or the bug report. After you had properly understand what's in the specification or in the bug, you can directly go to the next step of thinking a solution. Maybe write your solutions on a paper. You might come up with multiple solutions. If you do come up with multiple solutions, you have to evaluate which solution of it is the best solution. So that has to be done through the stability you're adding to the system, your code base, how it would appear, what it would do to the speed of the system, what it would do to the existing parts, and how would it be matching with the client's ease. That's the most important thing, client's ease. What you have actually evaluated, what is the solution you're going with, you could talk to people in your project and ask, okay, is this the best way to go? They might give your inputs. You don't have to always do that, but if you do that, that's actually better. You might come up with a better implementation with others' inputs. The next part of analyzing would be checking whether what you have as a solution is whether it would be compatible with the existing code base. Because when you go for an internship, it's mostly you're going to work in an existing project. So are you able to set whatever, are you able to integrate whatever you have planned to the existing code base? To do that, you have to little by little go through the code and check if you could do so. The second step is to process, which means you're converting your solution into actual code. At the beginning, you have to plan how you're going to add your code to the system. Either you can add it in a single file, or maybe create a separate package. So depending on your implementation, you'll have to decide on what you're going to do there. Next up, you will have to check in if there is any code that you could reuse in the code base. Then you need to plan your implementation in a way that your code is reusable in the future too. And the very important thing under process would be how you're going to name your variables and functions and whatever you're going to use in your implementation. The most important thing you'll have to look into that is whether your code is readable. Can you define your variables and function in a way that you can convey what's happening in that function, or why that variable is being defined, to anyone who just comes and reads the variable or function's name. That is something very important you need to follow. So most of the different companies have different approach towards naming variables. They have their own conventions for each project. Start coding whatever you had as a solution after looking into all of this. After you have converted your solution into code, the next thing you'll have to look into is, can you shorten it? Can you make it more readable? Can you make it less complex? And you need to check on that. And if you're all happy of that, then the next important thing would be unit test cases, which is another very important thing. So while you're writing unit test cases, you might come across views on how the implementation could be broke, or how the implementation could fail, any exception possible. You need to check on that, and you should just look into the streamline of whatever you have implemented and come up with all possible test cases. And you write your test cases, you find out any bug, you fix that bug, and then you're ready to go. When you're like completed and when you're satisfied of what you have coded, it's always better to push into a development environment and test whether your implementation has actually worked before handling it to the QA. Third and the final step is present. How you're going to show your code to the client, because whatever you have done in your analyze and your process is an utter waste if you cannot present it. Presenting usually takes time, because communication is a skill to be learned through time. At the beginning, I had issues in writing a basic email, and from there I believe that I have developed to a person who can write a proper email with the proper content and the context. So that happens through time. You start writing, you start communicating, you start speaking to people, and you will develop in what you're doing. When it comes to presenting as a software engineer, it will be mostly that you present yourself, you present your implementation to the QA engineer, because they are the ones who are actually going to test what you had done by code as a final output, how it would look from the user prospect, and how it should be working to satisfy the client. They have a domain idea as well on how it would work from a user prospect. So they will be checking into that. So for them to check into that, you will have to communicate on what you have done in your implementation. Basically, if you fail to communicate what you have done in your implementation, the QA engineer will have problems in not being able to do his testing properly. Sometimes, depending on the project, you'll have to directly speak to your client on what you have done in your implementation, maybe verbally or by documenting. You should make sure that the client understands everything regarding your implementation, either in the document or by your verbal communication. So if that's done, you have like completed the solution, you have completed a proper fix to the problem, and you have presented it. So that's all about it. These are the 3 steps of solving a software engineering problem. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I would appreciate if you could like, share and subscribe. If you have any queries or any comments, please put it down on the comment section. Thank you.